Today I'm going to teach you guys how to factor ax squared minus c quadratic equations. So c will mostly be negative in these, and a will mostly be positive in these with a few exceptions. And this rule right here always seems to work if a is positive and c is negative. And here's a little proof. So you fill in what we know. So ax squared minus c. And then, so we just put ax squared, or square root of a times x, square root of a times x, which simplifies to ax squared. And then negative c times square root of a times x is negative square root of c times a times x. And then the same thing, but just not negative. And then negative square root of c times square root of c equals negative c. And that simplifies down to ax minus c. So this rule, square root of a times x plus square root of negative c. And you're probably wondering, why are you taking a square root of a negative number? That's not possible. But if c is negative all the time, this is just reversing the negative so you don't. So it would be, and then that's in parentheses, times square root of a times x minus square root of negative c. So the first problem we have is x squared minus 25 equals 0. So it's the same concept as the ax squared plus bx plus c video, where we just plug in what we know. So x squared and negative 25, multiply those out, so negative 25x squared. The only difference is that you'll always put 0 for the bottom number because we don't have any b coefficient. So it'll be negative 5x, because you have to take the square root of this number because that's the only two numbers that will cancel each other out and equal 0 when you add them together. So you'll end up with, once filling out this cube, in parentheses x minus 5, end parentheses, and then in parentheses x plus 5, end parentheses. So the solutions for those, if you just take the negative d and e value, is x equals 5 and x equals negative 5. And then, just as to test see if it works, 5 squared equals negative 25, and 25 minus 25 equals 0. And then if you square a negative number, it will always equal the positive outcome. So 25 minus 25 equals 0. So let's say we have a coefficient for a. So you do the same thing. You put what you already know in the box and multiply it out, which equals negative 144x squared. Square root it, so 12. So you have a positive 12 and a negative 12 to cancel out to get that 0. Fill it in. The only difference is here is that since 12 times 12 does not equal 16, it equals 144. You'll put in, so 4 times negative 4 equals negative 16, and negative 4 times 3x equals negative 12x. That's where that 9x comes in, because 3x times 3x equals 9x squared. So to simplify that, you'll just put it in here, and it'll be in parentheses 3x minus 4, and in parentheses 3x plus 4. And you do the same concept. You just take that e value and take it over that f value. So it'll be negative, in parentheses, minus 4 over 3, which will simplify to 4 over 3, and then negative 4 over 3. And if you plug that in, you'll get 9 over 1 times 16 over 9 is equal to 144 ninths minus 16. If you simplify that, it equals 16, and 16 minus 16 equals 0. So here is an exception I was talking about if you have a negative a value. So in no case, because it's impossible, will you have a negative a and negative c. You'll just have one or the other. So it is the same exact concept, but instead of a negative c, you just have negative a. So you'll do the same thing. Negative x squared times 4 equals negative 4x squared. 2x minus 2x because the square root of 4 is 2, and that cancels out the 0. Plug it in, so negative x plus 2 and x plus 2. And so basically you're doing the same thing. You take it, so it would be 2 over negative x, so positive x, and then x equals negative 2. And if you plug it in, it will equal negative 4 plus 4, which is equal to 0. So here's probably the most complicated one you'll see, is when you have a negative a value and it's an actual a value above 1 plus c. So you do the same thing. You draw the box. Plug in what you already know. So negative 9x squared, 16. Make that box. That is, again, And it's the same thing as the other one, so this will be negative 144x squared plus 12, 0, negative 12x, of course, because x times x equals x squared. Plug it in, 12, negative 12, 4 times 4 equals 16, negative 3x, because negative 3x times 4 equals negative 12x, and then you just 3x, because negative 3x times 3x equals negative 9x squared. Again, plug it in. So negative 3x plus 4 in parentheses 3x plus 4. To get the solution, you just do negative 4 over negative 3, which equals, these two cancel out, and then negative 4 over 3, which equals a negative value. All you have to do is plug it in like we did right here, and you'll get the same exact answers, because the same exact solutions, and that will satisfy the equation.